Venezuela's acting president says the snatching of Maduro by the U.S. has a, quote, Zionist tint to it. We've already gone over what Maduro had to say about Israel and its crimes, but the Israel-Venezuela animosity predates Maduro's presidency. In this video, we highlight deceased President Hugo Chavez and his assessment of the Israeli regime. If you thought the other South American leaders were harsh, you may be in for a surprise or two. In quotes from the era, we see certain themes in Chavez lambasting of our greatest ally. First of all, he calls the Israeli armed forces cowards for attacking defenseless women and children, saying they have a demon inside of them. He asks, why don't they fight a real army? Secondly, he calls Israel a genocidal state, accusing them of doing the same things the Germans did in World War II. He says that because they are Israel, they get away with atrocities that no other state would. He, of course, condemns the United States in the usual way, calling it imperialist, but also blaming it for arming Israel and assisting it in the genocide of the Palestinians. In one speech, he calls Israel one of the U.S. empire's instruments of aggression. An interesting quote is, Israel is a government of assassins, and of course we all should be familiar with Israel's long history of traveling to countries all over the world to commit assassinations. There's even a book written celebrating all the assassinations they've done. Its title is Rise and Kill First, which tells you a little bit about their philosophy. Whether it's Lord Moyne or Count Bernadotte, or the bombing of the King David Hotel, the history of Israel's state-sponsored assassinations and terror goes back to the very beginning of their existence as a state, and continues down through the present day, with the targeted killings of nuclear scientists, the killings of generals and officials in the 2025 war on Iran, and so on. Chavez also accused the empire, in quotes, in supporting his political opponents, saying that they, the empire, own the opposition. In one speech, he even accused Israel of bankrolling his political opponents. Chavez delivered speeches in other countries on his so-called Evil Axis tour, which included Syria and Iran. We see that he was friends with other staunch critics of our greatest ally, including Ahmadinejad and Assad. Finally, we'll highlight one speech in particular. He starts out by telling how Israel attacked an aid group who were trying to deliver supplies to the Palestinians, saying that the group was slaughtered by the IDF. He says that if Venezuela had done something like that, the U.S. would have already invaded them, but that because it's Israel, there are no consequences. It's Israel. They can do anything, he says, because of the double standards. He goes on to say Israel and the United States condemn terrorism while doing it themselves. They accuse him, Chavez, of sponsoring terrorism when they are the ones who sponsor terrorism. He reaches the apex of the address saying, I will say it again from the depth of my soul. Damn you, State of Israel. Damn you, terrorists and assassins. Long live the people of Palestine. Another fascinating thing he says is, the Venezuelan opposition didn't say anything against Israel because Israel funds the opposition. Israel funds the counter-revolution. There are even groups of Israeli terrorists from the Mossad who are following me, trying to kill me. And we know that this is not simply the ravings of a paranoiac, because Mossad does follow people and assassinate them, as they've done all over the world under the motto of their organization, which is, by way of deception thou shalt do war. And isn't it highly interesting that Maduro, another vociferous critic of Israel, was taken out of power this weekend only a couple of days after Netanyahu visited Mar-a-Lago for a total of around 5 official visits in Trump's less than 1 year in office. Lastly, Hugo Chavez contracted cancer and died relatively young at 58. The idea of foul play should not be dismissed. We see in the case of the Russian Alexander Litvinenko, he was poisoned with polonium-210 and died of radiation syndrome. Are we really supposed to recoil in horror at the idea of the CIA or Mossad poisoning Chavez when we know that there are all kinds of strange plots against Castro, including an elaborate attack to make his beard fall out? How hard would it be to get an agent close to Chavez in a plot to poison or otherwise induce cancer? As I said last time, I wouldn't put it past them. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe, like the video, and share this so we can get the unvarnished truth out into a world of non-stop lies and media deception.